Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give everyone just a couple of minutes to get into the webinar before we get started. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are going to start in just a couple of minutes. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to everyone. This is our October family webinar presented by Region 10 ESC and Partners Resource Network. My name is Sarah Untersee. I am the School Family Community Engagement Consultant here at Region 10. We are so very happy to have Kelly Beavis with us today from Region 10 and Aaron Huey with us today from the Texas Department of Health and Human Services. And they are going to be presenting on child find for our birth to toddler age. So this is a little bit of a different topic. We are very, very excited to hear this information. It is so very important. Today's webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the Region 10 website. It takes us about a week or so for that to be made accessible, but I will send a link out to everyone that registered for today's webinar so that they will have that once it's available. And at this point, I am going to turn it over to Kelly and Aaron, and Jim and I will be back at the end of today's meeting to share a little bit of additional information for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Beavis. I'm a program coordinator here at Region 10, and I support a team of service providers who actually go out into the field and support our birth to toddler group plus school age kiddos in occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision impairments, orientation mobility, and adapted PE in the greater Dallas area. And vision is one of our areas of focus because we're trying to make sure we are identifying our babies early on rather than later when they get into school. So thank you for being here. We're so excited to be a part of your day. And Aaron, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Aaron Huey. I'm with Texas Early Childhood Intervention, otherwise known as ECI, and I'm the training team lead. And we work with children from birth to 36 months who have developmental delays and disabilities.
And also with us is Alexa Pointer. She's having some technical difficulties, and she is the Vision and Orientation and Mobility Consultant at Region 10. And she is also a point of contact as far as these conversations are concerned today. So just wanted to add her to the mix as well. So Aaron, if you'll go to the objective slide, please. All right. For today's objectives, we are going to learn about ECI and its approach to services, understand how changes in the CDC development milestones relate to developmentally appropriate practices and identifying possibly developmental delays, identify developmental milestones and red flags for typically developing children, provide resources that you can use to support parents and caregivers. And we will start with the ECI because it provides some background information as about the why and the understanding and identifying those milestones as important. And however, we are going to look at some of those influential milestones and how they've changed. We're also going to look at why they've changed, but also in regards to the vision and hearing issues that children may have and what may impact that developmental milestone along the way.
So Texas ECI serves children and their caregivers across Texas. It's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act Part C program for Texas. ECI services are provided to infants and toddlers from birth up to 36 months of age with developmental delays and disabilities. These services are based on a caregiver-centered coaching approach, and they occur in a child's natural environments. And that's the places where children typically spend their time, such as home, daycare, and other natural places for the child and the parents. And with parental consent, ECI can also extend the coaching approach to teach others who support the child's development, such as caregivers and early childhood educators.
All right, eligibility. So for these children, it's for our kiddos who reside in Texas, and they are between the ages of birth to 36 months old, and they meet at least one of the three listed eligibility criteria, such as having a qualified medical diagnosis for cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, cancer, other conditions impacting that long-term development, including deaf or hard of hearing or having a vision impairment as defined and assessed using the requirements from the Texas Education Agency, or demonstrating a developmental delay, which is determined by the ECI providers based on professional assessments. So the ECI is available through Texas for those eligible children from 0 to 3 or birth to 3 with special needs, but these needs must be identified and assessed prior to receiving those services.
One of the main principles for ECI, and this is based on extensive research, is that children learn the best through everyday experiences and interactions with familiar people and in familiar contexts. And as we noted earlier, ECI services happen in the child's natural environments. And this is going to be any place that a child is comfortable as they live, learn, and play. Service visits then include parents and siblings, grandparents, and family members, friends, because these are familiar relationships for the child, and they provide a familiar context for the activities and strategies that are being provided. Part of the goal here is to use strategies that enhance rather than disrupt the typical everyday things that are unique to each family. And these strategies can include providing routines within the home, like playtime, bedtime, bath time, navigating the family home and outdoor areas, but to make sure that it's safe and efficient for the child.
Right. So when we're talking about the ECI services, our providers offer a range of services, such as what were just mentioned. And these services are provided by ECI based on the child's individual needs. Please know that not all children receive the same types of support, and ECI contractors must offer an array of services. However, all children enrolled in ECI are offered service coordination and case management. Some of the most common services include specialized skills and training, therapy for delays in communication and physical development. Also, ECI services are provided by professionals who are credentialed and or licensed. One particular service provider worth noting is the early intervention specialist. And these professionals are unique to ECI and the only provider type in the state that is permitted to deliver Medicaid reimbursed specialized skills training. So connecting with your local ECI program can also connect you and a family with wider range of professionals. Those professionals can provide the support and insights related to children in classrooms who are enrolled in ECI. For those students who are suspected of having a vision and or hearing impairment, ECI works closely with school districts where you reside as a family member and to connect you to vision and hearing professionals like a teacher of students with visual impairments, a certified orientation mobility specialist, and or a teacher of the deaf or hard of hearing. Connecting to school personnel creates relationship as the child transitions from home to school-based services. These services allow the child to receive a continuum of services as long as there is an identified need.
So the coaching approach is a key feature for ECI services. This approach provides the parent and caregiver with strategies and techniques they can use to help their child learn new skills between visits. And this is really important because a service provider may only work with a child 2 to 4 times per month, depending upon the child's needs. but a parent or caregiver interacts with the child throughout the time between visits. There's some other additional benefits of using this coaching approach, and one of them is strengthening the competence and confidence of a parent or caregiver as they implement the strategies throughout the day and in various settings. Another benefit is understanding how your child sees, hears, thinks, and even engages with their environment to increase their learning opportunities and participation in daily life. A third benefit is it helps parents and caregivers learn when to make changes and how to generalize solutions to new and different circumstances, new people, and new settings. Further, as we said earlier, if a parent consents for the services to be delivered in the classroom, an ECI provider can use this coaching to support the classroom teacher or other staff members that are helping the child as they learn their new skills.
All right, with transitions, we're looking at how a child will move out of the ECI services when they turn 3. And that is when the school system will pick up the student. This involves more transitioning from one program or system to another. Some children may leave ECI services earlier for different reasons. Since transition is something that will happen, planning for it begins in the early development stages of working with your ECI. And part of this process involves assessing a child's and family's transition needs. As part of the supporting parents through the transition, the ECI service team must develop a written plan called Transition Steps and Transition Services. When the child is between the ages of 27 and 33 months, that's when the child nears their 3rd birthday, and that's when that transition plan begins. This transition plan lists activities to prepare the child and their parents or caregivers for transition, identifies resources, and explores future service options.
So supporting the child is kind of a hallmark for what we're looking at. And so in this part of the presentation, we're going to be looking at some typical developmental milestones during the first 3 years. These milestones are important because early development, especially physical development, will lay the foundation for later skills and abilities, such as reading, writing, interacting with peers. It's also important because the earlier a challenge can be identified and addressed, the greater the chance that its impact can be reduced. It's also important to note as we go through this information, these behaviors and abilities describe typical development, which means they're things that appear in the majority or about 75% of all children during each time period. And it's also important to note that they should continue to apply to children as they age.
Okay, in this particular graphic, we are looking at 4 main developmental domains: language and communication skills, cognitive abilities, social and emotional skills, motor development. While these each represent different areas of development, they are also all connected. So changes in one domain can also lead to changes in other domains.
So let's start with some of the highlights during the first 2 months of life. We would expect a child to do everything that's listed here, but there's some specific vision and hearing related milestones that are really worth highlighting. One of them is the startle or reaction to loud or new sounds. Another is smiling back at parents or other family members, or looking at someone's face or a toy for several seconds. The reaction to loud or new sounds, as well as smiling back, might seem small in some ways, but they provide insights about an infant's ability to sense the information around them, but also to respond to that stimulation.
So for the typical development for the 3 to 6 month old, typical child should show even more behaviors because they're growing and changing. These are also key indicators related to hearing and vision, such as making cooing sounds like ooh and ah, smiling or making sounds to get your attention, swiping or reaching to grab a toy. And as an example, when a child swipes or reaches to grab a toy, the child must first see the toy, cognitively plan to reach for the toy, and then execute the plan to reach and swipe or grab the toy. If the toy makes a noise, the child is using their vision and hearing at the same time to begin the planning process to acquire the toy. So you can see that vision and hearing are all part of the child's development. It may not seem like large changes are occurring, but these all indicate that the child is aware of what and who is around them.
And then later, as a child goes from 6 to 9 months, babies typically can continue to expand these abilities. We see them also combining their previous abilities more purposefully. And some examples from this list: smiling or laughing while playing peekaboo, banging two things together, or making different sounds like mama, mama, or ba, 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 ba. And when we look at all of these, let's start with peekaboo. It relies on sight, and so does banging things together. Making sounds is a fundamental part of verbal speech, but this also needs a bit of hearing for the child to hear themselves make the sound.
Okay. These earlier skills continue to grow from 9 to 12 months. That children generally become intentional in what they do. However, some of these listed milestones are dependent on the child's senses for working, such as picking up small pieces of food with their thumb and finger, copy hand movements like clapping or bye-bye, call a parent mama or dada or other special name, look when their name is called, cry when their parent leaves. One key part of these milestones is being aware of an object, food, sound, movement, and even a parent within their environment.
We also see the importance of this awareness in some of the milestones between 12 to 15 months for children as they continue to build and practice their skills. For example, we have waving bye-bye when someone leaves, or finding a toy that they watched you hide, and also pointing to objects that they want.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my little spot in the slide. So I'm back. For this particular slide, we're looking at that 15 to 18-month-old. And if the changes are continuing to grow and they don't stop, to highlight some of the vision and hearing reliant milestones during this time frame, we have looking at pictures in a book with you as a family member or other caregiver, holding a crayon in their fist and scribbling, using at least 3 words besides mama and dada, trying to use a spoon, follow simple directions like give it to me, saying 10 or more words. For some of these milestones, it can be easy for adults to overlook the importance of vision and hearing. But by using a pencil or a pen without looking at what you are writing on, you can just kind of think through that lens of trying to do that yourself by closing your eyes and trying to do this without making a mess. And also with hearing, try understanding what is being said around you with your ears plugged or using earplugs. It's a very different sensory experience.
Advance, please. There we go. So far we've identified a few vision and hearing related milestones, but there's some appearing in the 18 to 20 month range, such as drinking from a cup without a lid. A child may spill sometimes, but it's without a lid. Responding to simple what and where questions. Copying you as you do chores such as sweeping, or repeating the words that you say. And kind of what's highlighted here is children cannot copy what they cannot see, or if they see poorly, and they can't repeat what you say if they can't hear clearly.
And in the 24 to 30-month-old range, we have use and understand at least 50 words, play next to other children and sometimes play with them, turn pages in a book one at a time, use 2 or 3 words together like more cookie or doggy run, and follow 2-step directions like put your diaper in the trash or get your shoes.
And children's abilities should continue developing and getting more complex. We see this in the 30 to 36 month range, where some of the milestones have expanded and the challenges to hearing or vision alter what we see. For instance, examples in this age range are joining other children in play, using at least 200 words, avoiding touching hot objects when they're warned, talking well enough for others to understand them most of the time, and imitating you as you draw a circle, or putting on loose clothing by themselves and using a fork.
So you can probably understand how a vision or hearing impairment may impact development in all these domains. Probably some clear examples are that in terms of motor skills, a child who cannot see a toy will not be motivated to learn to reach or crawl for it, or because children develop cognitive skills by observing and interacting within their environment, babies and toddlers lacking that motivation or developing difficulty navigating their environment may miss out on other learning opportunities that are so key to their development.
So much of what we've got is visually related and hearing related, and they all go together. And when these are related to naturally occurring learning opportunities, the opportunity might be missed. And missing out on natural learning opportunities by watching others engage around them, such as seeing objects in their environment or connecting to what is said, can lead to a bit of a delay as the child works with their peers and learns.
Okay, so some of the red flags that you may see at any age are the behaviors that can keep a child from learning and may mean the child would benefit from the ECI services. The appearances of these behavioral patterns may occur at any age and might indicate a reason for concern. So of particular note today, it's important to note when a child does not notice people visually or by hearing them, loses previously mastered abilities like speaking or babbling, social skills such as smiling, looking at others, and playing, or control of their muscles and movement, consistently becoming upset or having changes with changes in their routine, and does not turn their head when their name is called or a sudden sound occurs. While some of these things happen occasionally for most infants and toddlers, when they occur frequently or persistently for many months, a family may want to talk to their pediatrician or their local ECI program.
Also, there's some red flags that are causes for concern at certain age and in certain age ranges. For example, if a child during the first 12 months cannot bend their arms or legs, feels limp or floppy while they're lifted, does not react to sounds, or only uses one side of their body. If the child isn't smiling or moving when they look at you, or a toy when you play with them, or if they don't want to be held. And if a child from 12 to 36 months is having tantrums that last 20 minutes or longer, again, not looking or responding when you call their name, frequently hurting or biting other people, flapping their hands, rocking or swaying over and over, not using gestures such as pointing for what they want, or walking on their tiptoes, all of these are things to be concerned about and to take note of. Now, each of these can indicate that there are challenges to regulating the body and interacting with people. So the earlier we can identify these challenges, the sooner we can provide services. And the earlier services begin, the greater the impact of the intervention on the child's development. I think your mic might be turned off, but I can continue. You give me a thumbs up. All right. So no single family or agency or group or professional can meet all the needs of every child and family. But by collaborating as a team, we can all work together to build a supportive environment for everyone as they support and guide children. So when should people get referred to these available services? And the simple answer, as we've said several times, is earlier is always better. As soon as there's a delay that's suspected, it's time to start talking to somebody. And who can make a referral? As you can see by this list, a parent, a grandparent, It doesn't have to be a professional making the request, although physicians are some of the most common ones who do make referrals. We would just want to underscore anyone can make a referral, but it's always a good idea just to make sure that everybody's informed and on the same page together. As we're making a referral, ECI services are provided in each of Texas's 254 counties, and they're provided by organizations such as community centers, independent school districts, education service centers, such as Region 10, or private nonprofit organizations. The first step for making a referral is to locate the providers for the geographical area of the family. And this is critical because each organization has its own service area, as well as a different process for receiving referrals. And to do this, you can use the citysearch.hhs.state.tx.us website, which can be found on the Texas ECI website. And we'll provide a link for that a little bit later. Then use the child's home address and zip code to determine which contractor provides the services to the child and their family. And you can search the website using the zip code, city, county, but we do really recommend using the zip codes whenever possible because a single city or county might have 2 to 3 different organizations providing services. Once you've located the program, follow links on their website and then locate where do they want for contact and how to contact them. But if you're not sure, or if you're looking for something a little bit more, you can also contact the Texas HHS Ombudsman, and they can help connect you to a local program. The Ombudsman can be contacted using phone, traditional mail, or fax. And all of this information is also located on our webpage. And again, we'll look at this a little bit later. It's also important to note, if you're calling and you have a hearing impairment yourself, you can use the relay of your choice or dial 711 to connect with Relay Texas. Additionally, you can also contact SPED Text for families, and you can call, email, or connect with them online. Leave a message and somebody will contact you directly. You can also call the school district where the child lives and ask for the special education department or the child find office. Or you can talk to a child care provider or daycare where your child is attending, and they can help you connect to ECI as well. So let's look at a few resources that should be helpful. And as we've talked about some of these internet resources, I'll try to drop the links in the chat. You also have this slide deck that you can download from Google Docs. It's already in the chapter, and all of these links are live within the slides. First, we have ECI's website. It's available at hhs.texas.gov/ECI. This website is going to provide information for families. It provides access to a library with audio and visual and print materials, and anyone residing in Texas can access this information. There's also a resource guide in the central directory for Texas programs that we looked at earlier, and links to videos for parents and families and caregivers to help them become more familiar with ECI. Next, one of the things that you can do is you can order materials if you're wanting this or you want to share them. These are available at no cost, and the publications are available in English and Spanish for most of them. And 3 of the examples that we have today is Serving Babies and Toddlers, which talks about what services are available. How's Your Baby, which provides a developmental checklist. And then the 3rd example we see is an ECI growth chart, which is a tool that you can use at home or in a classroom that helps to track a child's growth and development. And all of these can be ordered online. We also have 2 links today that you can just download directly. These are both PDFs. These cover the milestones that we talked about earlier. They're both, one's in English, one's in Spanish, and these are available for whomever would like them. And it's something that you can just take away. We also have the Act Early website, and this is managed by the Children's Learning Institute, which is funded by grants from the Texas Early Learning Council and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It's a Texas-specific program that provides training for professionals in developmental screening, as well as free online screening tools for families residing in Texas. And this helps identify possible delays and disabilities. We also, at the national level, have 3 agencies that can be helpful to understanding what they do, but also what's available. These include the Division for Early Childhood, which is part of the Council for Exceptional Children. There's the CDC, the Center for Disease Control's Learn the Signs, Act Early initiative. This resource has even more detailed developmental checklists, as well as multiple free materials and videos that help support developing children. And finally, there's U.S. Office of Special Education Programs. This can help understand what children qualify for and what should be available. We also have some more Texas-specific resources for parents and families. For example, for these, SPED Tex, which is hosting today, SPED Tech provides information and resources which can help parents understand their children's disability, family rights, and the delivery of services in Texas. We're also joined today by the Partners Resource Network, which is a nonprofit agency. And Jim is waving at everybody. Hopefully you can see him. We're happy to have you here. They operate a statewide network of parent training and information centers. And this network helps parents of children and youth with disabilities from birth to 26 years of age. And it's really helpful to understand the child's disability rights as well as the responsibilities under IDEA. They also can help parents obtain and evaluate resources and services for their child and fully participate as a team member with the professionals in planning services for your child. Texas to Parent is another nonprofit organization committed to providing resources. And this was created by parents for parents. They provide a variety of things, such as education and training for family members, parents, caregivers, and other professionals who want to improve the lives of children with a disability, chronic illness, or special health care needs. We also have Navigate Life, a specific Texas parent-to-parent program, and it's going to provide even more information about diagnosis, insurance, Medicaid waiver programs, family support, education, transition, and there's a search page that will help. Finally, we have Early Childhood Texas, which is a website. This provides families easy access to many state agency programs, services, and resources that are there to help support young children and their families. So, in review, we learned about ECI, we talked about it, kind of how we approach services. We reviewed some developmental milestones for typically developing children during the first 36 months of life. We identified some indicators of developmental delays and disabilities. We also discussed how and when to make a referral to ECI programs. And finally, we looked at some resources that can support parents and caregivers. And I know we're right past time. I don't know if we want questions or not. I see people grinning at me. I don't know if there are questions.
That's okay. I think we're good with questions. If anybody does have questions, please feel free to reach out, excuse me, to myself or to Jim Wright, and we can help to direct you to either Aaron or Kelly or to whoever may be an appropriate resource for you. We are more than happy to do that. Thank you so much to Aaron and Kelly for being here today. We really appreciate your time, and this was such an informative presentation and very, very important information. And like I said at the beginning of today's webinar, we are recording today. We are going to post this on the Region 10 website so that it is accessible for anyone that may have questions in the future. So we definitely invite you to share that information with others that you might work with or that you might know who may benefit from hearing this information as well. At this time, we're going to stop recording and we're going to launch a poll question or a few poll questions for everyone to answer. While that's taking place, I am also going to share some links. Next week, we have another webinar coming up that is with Cadre, which is the Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution and Special Education. I'm going to share the flyer for that webinar. I'm also going to share the flyer for our November family webinar, which will take place on November 8th. And the topic for next month is IEP implementation tips for families. So I will share those. We will get our poll taken care of, and then we will wrap up for today. So thank you so much to everyone for being here.
Yeah, Aaron, I want to thank you for what you do. Watching this presentation was kind of almost a triggering event for me because I have a child with Down syndrome, is legally blind, had vision issues, and you know, ECI was the lifeline that gave our family the support and the structure and the information we needed to allow for our child to thrive, for us to function as a family. And I'm very grateful for all the services that ECI provides to our fellow Texans, and I encourage people to take advantage of these services because they make a difference. My child's now 20 years old, and with all the interventions and supports, his future is looking bright.
The earlier we can help out, the better things become.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes so easy as we're adults to forget what it was like to learn to see things. And we can't help if we don't know. And so the first slide, we start off with child find. That is an essential part of all of our contractors and all of our providers. We can only help if we know that there's a need. And that's what we're here for.
You guys do awesome things. It's just an amazing resource. And what's even funnier in my particular situation is that our first ECI provider had children soon afterwards, and our kids participate in lots of programs together and go to school together. So I get to see her grow up as a young person providing services to an older person like us, to raising our kids and being successful. So she gets to see the fruits of her labor, which is very unusual for people in your position and organization.
I can talk for days about this, but I know that we probably don't have the time, and other people have probably wanting lunch.
Well, thank you very much for being here today. We really appreciate your time.
No problem. And if anybody's
Have
got
a great
questions,
day.
all right.
Thanks.
Bye.